Shalom, welcome to Tactically Torah. I am Keith Hayes, and today we're picking up in Revelation chapter 12. Revelation chapter 12 is quite awesome to me. There's a ton of significance to it because it really spells out who the set apart ones are in is it 12:17, I believe. So pay attention to that. So we know that the sun, the moon, and the stars are signs, are for times and signs and seasons, so with that said, oh my goodness, if we pay attention, this sign, actually, I believe it was 2017 that we saw this sign in the stars. So I'm not saying that it has taken place yet, but it is a sign that has happened in the heavens, rather. So it could happen. Or maybe it was the perpetuation at the beginning of the Father being strategic in drawing his beloved ones out to where they need to be. Not saying that process is finished yet, but just something that is interesting to take note. So something, I believe this is something that was a sign in the heavens that we see in the stars. However, I also believe that this will be a physical happening as well. And the beginning of chapter 12, Revelation chapter 12, it says, "And a great sign was seen in the heaven, a woman clad with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars. And being pregnant, she cried out in labor and in pain to give birth. And another sign was seen in the heaven, and see a great fiery red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns on his heads. And his tail draws a third of the stars of the heaven and throws them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman who was about to give birth to devour her child as soon as it was born." Okay, so we're going to break there. If you're with me on Patreon, we are actually reading through the book of Enoch currently. And how many angels defected? It says a third of the angels. Well, we also know that the angels that were thrown out of heaven, there were 200 of them. So when it says his tail draws a third of the stars of the heaven and throws them to the earth, the stars, there are other locations in Scripture that actually talks about the angels as being stars in the heavens. So it's interesting to say the least. But when it says a third, and when you draw that conclusion, it would create the idea that a third is only 200, therefore there were only 600 angels ever made. Just something interesting to note. And I apologize for the stuffiness. can't get over it. It's not too big of a deal. It's literally just I need to drink some water and get my day going and get moving and such. Just woke up, so anyways, I digress from there. So the dragon stood before the woman who was about to give birth to devour her child as soon as it was born. Well, we know the woman is Israel. And she bore a son, in verse 5, a male who was to shepherd all nations with a rod of iron. That's where we get the idea. You know, the millennial reign, he will come and rule the nations with a rod of iron. Well, many other locations as well. But, yeah. There's a lot of reference points in here. So, her child was caught away to Elohim and to his throne. So Yeshua, he ascended. He died, he rose again, and then he ascended into heaven to be with Elohim, to be with Yahweh. In verse 6, it says, and the woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared by Elohim to be nourished there 1,260 days. Wow, well, that's interesting. 1,260 days. What did we just see in verse 3 of chapter 11? I shall give unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clad in sackcloth. Meanwhile, Elohim prepared a place and nourished the woman there for 1,260 days. And there came to be a fighting in the heaven. Michael and his messengers fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his messengers fought. But they were not strong enough, nor was place found for them in the heaven any longer. And the great dragon was thrown out, that serpent of old, called the devil and Satan, who leads all the world astray. He was thrown to the earth, and his messengers were thrown out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in the heaven, now have come the deliverance and the power and the reign of our Elohim and the authority of his Messiah. For the accuser of our brothers, who accused them before Elohim day and night, has been thrown down. And they overcame him because of the blood of the Lamb and because of the word of their witness. And they did not love their lives to the death. Strong. Dedicated. That's good stuff. They did not love their lives to the death. Meaning they were completely willing to give their lives for the witness and testimony of Yeshua. Because of this, O heavens, you who dwell in them, woe to the earth and the sea, because the devil has come down to you, having great wrath, knowing that he has little time. And when the dragon saw that he had been thrown to the earth, he persecuted the woman who gave birth to a male. And the woman was given 2 wings of a great eagle to fly into the wilderness, to her place, where she was nourished for a time and times and half a time. And the reference for that is Daniel 7:25, by the way. Also 12:7. From the presence of the serpent. Out of his mouth the serpent spewed water like a river after the woman. to cause her to be swept away by the river. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed up the river, which the dragon had spewed out of his mouth. And the dragon was enraged with the woman, and he went to fight with the remnant of her seed, those guarding the commands of Elohim and possessing the witness of Yeshua Messiah. So he is only enraged with those who maintain the testimony of Yeshua and guard to keep his commands. His commands mean something. This is his Torah, his law. Yeshua said, if you love me, obey my commands. My Torah will be written in your heart. So I'm going to leave you with that. Revelation chapter 12. And this is just before, or rather just after, the seventh trumpet is blown. So keep that in mind. Bless you.